Looking at the time up to the point of the refund of money to the county.
Yes, sir.
When you went back and looked at your billings and the determination was made that those funds should be refunded, could you describe for us the process by which you went through your block billing and saw that something was done on the counterclaim, and how you then determined how much time should be credited to the counterclaim and how much time should be credited to the other items in the bill?
The first thing I did was to go back and begin to read the bills just as though they were a story, a narrative of what we did, who did it, on what particular day. One of the things you also need to understand about our billing is that it's entered by a billing clerk, and so we don't have, our billing is not the day of the hour that it's billed sensitive. And so there's a possibility that chronologically when you read something, it might sound like something was done, that it sounded like it was something early, shown later in the day when it really was done earlier in the day, because it's not time sensitive that way. But you have to read the totality of that. So I went through the bill, and when I would get to a block where there was anything even remotely close to being done for the counterclaim, even if the word wasn't mentioned, I would highlight that so that I could double check and be sure that it was done. I then went back and looked at it carefully and said, okay, based upon what I am reading here, to the best of my legal judgment, more likely than not, this is what happened in that case. And when in doubt, I rounded up instead of down.
Thank you. I don't have any.
Up in terms of a credit.
In terms of credit.
Yes, sir.
I took that as what you meant. I don't have anything else.
Anything else from the other commissioners?
I have maybe just a quick example type question. Maybe in the summary that Mr. Whipplesfugen prepared, where he took the previously redacted items. And,
yes, sir.
And as I understand, you got a copy of it and have had a chance to look at it.
I haven't gone through every single entry. I'm aware that it exists. I have not done an extensive audit of it, but I'm happy to comment on any of it.
There are a couple of, and I have to admit I haven't sunk my teeth into it either, but there are a couple of entries that seem to kind of stick out here, and I wonder if you have any explanation that
sure.
Can help us with it. Just for example, on the very first page, under the entry of December 23rd, 2005, if I understood Mr. Whipplesfugen's method here, the first entry by ASL says work with Mr. Wirken, where he discussed filing a contingent counterclaim for malicious prosecution and the proper procedure to do the same. The entry is for half an hour, $75, which, as I understand Mr. Whipplesfugen to say in his compilation of this, that was actually what was billed to the county, and that the zero underneath it is what was credited back to the county.
That may well be true. I have not gone back and done the task that he said he did.
Okay. Would it be worthwhile then for you to spend some time going through this to make sure we're all literally on the same page?
Well, if that's what he did, but what I would do as a for instance would probably be to spot check it. I mean, as a for instance, it appears as though this one looks like I billed $125 to the county for my time in the same day, and according to his records would indicate that the county paid me that and I didn't charge that back. I don't know what the bill shows, but I'd be interested to look at it.
Well, and
Does somebody have my bill that I sent in either July or August? I didn't bring all my stuff up.
Sure we do.
I'm sure we do.
This is January. Is this the on the counterclaim? Do we have that, Tiffany? The billing on the counterclaim, just the first month. Is that it right there?
No. Oh, wait a minute.
I'm not sure
Mr.
what date he's referring to yet, so I think he's referring to January 2006, but I'm not certain. I'm only holding 2007 here.
Actually, I do have it here in my hand, and before we get there, Mr. Whipplesfugen, I believe this was a document that was attached or provided to us. I'm not sure.
It was in the billing.
Letter.
Yeah, it was part of the billing records that Mr. Whipplesfugen had provided to us in July.
The question I've got, Mr. Whipplesfugen, is where did you get this bill? How did you come by
This billing, labeled as Stringfield countersuit, was given to me by Mr. Stringfield.
How did Mr. Stringfield get it?
I do not know. I think he received it in the mail.
Is this part of the stuff that you indicate was sent to you along with or sent to Mr. Stringfield along with the letter from Mr. Wirken to his clients, or not? That would have been after it, wouldn't it?
It would have been included in the same mailing.
Okay, so that was the document that was attached with the letter that we believed was attorney-client privileged, so that document would be attorney-client privileged as well.
And I asked if Mr. Wirken would release that attorney-client privilege so that we could review it.
And I believe that he said, as he has to say, that he will not and he cannot release his clients from their privilege. So that document is inadmissible.
Okay. And so I would, if I got the permission from any of his clients to release that, would this commission still accept that? Because it appears that it's important in terms of your analysis of this recreation, which, in fact, I must state at this point, Mr. Wirken has extensively billed the county for, and Mr. Jones has previously stated and states in the letter of July 19th that he has discussed with Mr. Wirken. So if he's billing the county for going through the billing of my recreation, I would presume that at some point he has some opinion about it that he might be able to state today, but if not, I think the commission should have the same right to review these documents and compare it to the billing, which have been discussed between the county and Mr. Wirken.
Let me get back to my original question here.
Please.
Okay,
I think I can answer it.
Try to cut to the chase a little bit. Mr. Hayden testified earlier
Yep.
that he thought he had given, or somebody had given you a copy of this summary. And so my question really gets to the fact of whether or not that actually happened, whether you've had a chance to really look at it
I
and
haven't,
study it.
but I did look at this one entry, and Mr. Whipple's view it as an error.
Sorry.
How so?
Because there is a bill, without waiving any attorney-client privilege with regard to the content of it, that I sent to, on the Stringfield countersuit, and the credit, the billing with regard to that 123 date that he shows here, 125 and 125, that shows up on the other bill. So he should put a zero there, and he didn't. If I understand what his document is. In other words, it's accurate with regard to the ALS entry, 75 and a 0, but he shows 125, 125, and says we didn't give it credit, but we did.
Okay.
Now, one other thing, I might tender this to you. I'm more than willing to submit this to somebody in camera so that we don't violate any attorney-client privilege, but if there's some mechanism to do that, I have authority from my clients to do that, just as long as we don't waive the attorney-client privilege, because we're not trying to hide the ball from anybody. I mean, obviously, if this is an issue, you all are entitled to look at it, but we don't want to waive the attorney-client privilege in doing it. Or if Mr. Whipplesfugen wants to take the position that by tendering it to someone and having you accept it, it wouldn't waive the attorney-client privilege, then that's okay too.
I, for one, like that suggestion. We could sit here all day long going through detailed matters, and if there's a way to really cut to the chase in this.
I could spot check any number one of these. I mean, that was just one he asked me to do, and it's obvious that it's wrong. Wrong from his part, not from my part. It was accurate as to our part. In fact, the only other thing I would comment here is looking at Petitioner's Exhibit number 3. There were dates that were billed that I believe the information was supplied to the Ethics Commissions before with regard to items that were legitimately billed at the counterclaim that don't even show up on here. There was a date of 10/10, 10/17, 10/30, 10/31, etc., and none of those even show up on this document because he doesn't start his until 12/21. Well, I misspoke. I'd have to go and look at the second page.
If it was